Q95, the big station. Compliments of the season to you. I hope that your Christmas celebrations are off to a great start. And let us just remember that as we celebrate the Christmas season, let us remember to support our vendors, support our local vendors, whether you buy some fruit cake, some peanut punch, any type of punch you're interested in, or if you're overseas, find a Dominican vendor to support, whether you buy pastries or whatever. This is a great season to support our local vendors. So it is great to be back with you as we continue to explore what in the world around us is changing and evolving. What are the challenges and opportunities which come with these changes? Especially, we're always on the lookout for financial opportunities, and how our Dominican experts at home and abroad can guide us to navigate these changes. December 6th, the elections is now behind us. We continue to pray for our country, Dominica, as we all work together to move our beautiful nature island forward. And we must also remember to pray for our vulnerable children as we honor the memory of Kanisha Etienne. So today it is great to be back with you for another packed 2 hours of programming. And we are asking some important questions such as, are our thoughts and by extension, the decisions we make our own? Or are we being influenced by others with regards to making important decisions? And we have our esteemed guest with us this evening, Miss Trudy Christian. Truly an honor to have her on the program this evening. I graced them with my presence back in June on Health Vibes. So it is great to have her grace us with her presence here on Roots Connections. And she's here to help us on this particular topic. She is here to tell us how we can develop and improve the critical thinking skills of our people, our ability to think independently and make independent decisions, especially our young people, to secure the future of our country, Dominica. So let us go ahead and have Miss Trudy Christian open her mic. As she greets us, of course, she needs no introduction, but we will just have her say a couple of words with regards to who she is, and especially with regards to the debate competition that she holds at the State College. Trudy, thank you for joining us.
Hi, Simone. Good evening. Good evening to all the listeners of Q95 and all the listeners who are listening virtually on Facebook. I don't know if you're on yet on Push Past 10, but good
Yes,
evening to
I'm going to
all
do
your
that right now.
yes, good evening to all the listeners. You introduced me somewhat. The listeners of Q95 just heard me this morning. Actually, I do Health Vibes on a Wednesday morning on Q95. So this is my second time for the day being on Q. And it is my pleasure, though, to join you this evening. Simone, you had invited me previously to a show, and I felt at the time that the topic wasn't my forte. But tonight, I am sure that I can keep up with you on this discussion because I think this topic is more near and dear to my heart, and so I'll be able to kind of contribute a bit more this evening. But I am an educator by profession. I am a dean at the Dominica State College. That's what I do. I am very, very passionate and involved in health and health education. So although I am an educator, my training is in public health. I so that is people may also know me from my work in public health and my shows relating to women's health in particular. So, I'm kind of an all-rounder in terms of my interests, a lot of varied interests. But that's essentially who I am. A talk show host, an educator, and a public health practitioner, women's health specifically.
Yes,
So that's
yes,
me.
absolutely. So as we can tell, you wear many hats So we're
Yes,
happy that
yes.
you're putting on one of those hats and you're joining us this evening as you tell us about the debate club and developing critical thinking skills in our student, and why you are now finding the need to take the debate club from the state college to the secondary schools in Dominica. So you have embarked on yet another very important initiative. And Trudy, where do you find the time?
I don't know. I really don't know. People ask me this all the time, like, where do you find the time? But for me, if I'm passionate about something, somehow the time kind of creates itself, for me to allow that to happen. But yeah, I have been involved since I started working at the Dominica State College. Interesting story. I began working there in 2009, and in my interview to get the job, the president at the time was Hubert Charles. And he asked me, what can you contribute to the institution beyond the biology that we are interviewing you to teach? Because I was hired as a biology lecturer. And I said, I have experience in debating. And when I was in high school, I took part in the secondary schools debating competition, and I won. And so debating has always been my passion. And he was like, oh great, you should start a debating club at the Dominica State College. And that's exactly what I did. So when I started working there in 2009, myself along with Mr. Joel Challenger, who was also teaching there at the time, we were the advisors of the Literary and Debating Society. And this society still exists in 2023. So it was formed in 2009 and still going strong. And it is something that I think is very important for the students to have that outlet to be able to hone their skills in public speaking and debating. And this club has done very well. Dominica has been represented by the State College Literary and Debating Society in the regional competition, Windward Islands Debating Competition. This competition began in 2017, so it's been 5 years. We skipped the COVID year, 2021, and Dominica has won twice. So our record is pretty good, all things considered. So yes, the Dominica State College Literary and Debating Society is my baby. And I want to right now engage people, students at an even younger age in the art of debating. So I want to reintroduce, not I want to, I am reintroducing the inter-secondary schools debating competition
Yeah,
on
so
I.
we have a lot to talk about this evening. So we encourage
Mhm.
everyone to come on and share the live. If you're joining us on Facebook, or if you're listening on the radio, you can join us on Facebook at Q95 FM Radio, as well as YouTube on Q95 FM Radio, and also Facebook at Push Past 10. So again, welcome to Roots Connections for today, December 14th, 2022. This is episode number 38, and I am your host, Simone Senhouse. Good evening to you, Carl Kofi James. I see that you've already logged in. So we encourage everyone to share the live as they come on in to the program. Again, good evening to our listeners around the world who are joining us. And don't forget, for the best in daily programming, you can log on to q95da.com, where you can also find past episodes of this program. The last time we were on, we were talking about, are we witnessing a change in mindset in Dominica? Is the dependency mindset that we're seeing in Dominica a political strategy? So you can check this out at q95da.com. And again, we want to thank Trudy for being with us. We also want to thank Mr. G for the opportunity to be on Q95 every second and fourth Wednesday, and to allow us to tap into the human resources, our Dominican experts at home and abroad, to discuss topics of national and personal interest, and to begin that process of reversing the brain drain. We want to thank Lambi, who's on the console, who will be taking our calls in a little while, our engineer, Mr. Sherwin Norris, and of course, DJ Shan, who is holding down everything for us at this moment. So again, we're asking the question about critical thinking and how can we develop more critical thinkers in Dominica. And we are specifically going to look at this with regards to the debate competition that Trudy has been doing since 2009, and now she's taking it to the secondary level. So I think what we will see evolve from this program is that this goes beyond just the debate society, right? Because the skills that our students will learn in the debate society will be critical with regards to solving problems. Let's face it, we live in a world now where problems seem to be coming from every angle. And we need folks who can think quickly, who have the ability to solve unique problems that we have never seen before. Think of COVID-19, the pandemic, and the skill level it took to be able to solve those problems. So that is the higher level of the conversations we will have this evening. So we are truly happy that Ms. Trudy Christian is joining us this evening to help and guide us on this conversation. Will, Charles, I see you. Owen, Prosper, thank you for being with us. Don't forget to share the live as you come on into Facebook. So Trudy, let's jump right into the competitions, into the conversation. So you talked about having won the debate competition twice already, and just tell us what has been the experience, the overall experience with the debate competition at the State College, the challenges you faced along the way, as well as the successes that you've experienced.
Okay. So at the State College, as I said, we have this club, the Literary and Debating Society. And in 2017, the other tertiary institutions of the Windward Islands, that's Grenada, St. Lucia, and St. Vincent, we came together, so along with Dominica, and decided to do a Windward Islands debating competition. Now, the Leeward Islands had been having their competition for 40 plus years by that time, 2017. So it was time, for the Windward Islands, these four islands who are, nearby relatively, to take their own initiative and institute their own competition. So we started this in 2017. And the very first year that the competition was run, that is in 2017, Dominica won the competition. The competition is held in a different country every year. So that first year it was in St. Lucia, and it was such a struggle to get these students to the competition. Initially there was not, I think, a lot of support for the debaters. Like people were hesitant, should we put our money behind these young people? And these young people, four of them, that year, Enola Vital, sorry, Almira Lewis, Daniel Panthier, now deceased. Unfortunately, he passed, and also the last person was Mariage Emmanuel. So we had four very ambitious young people. They went to St. Lucia and they won that competition, the inaugural Windward Islands debating competition, without much support, I must say, without much financial support. And then Dominica went on in 2018, right after Hurricane Maria. Very phenomenal that we could take part after Maria. We did so with the help of a lot of people from the diaspora. We actually had to do a GoFundMe so that we could take part in this competition in 2018. And we once again, in St. Vincent, we won for the second time. So, Dominica was, seen as the team to beat in this debating competition. Unfortunately, in 2019, we were not successful and we did not have the competition because of COVID for a year. And then in this year, we were second runners up. So we came very close this year, but we were blown out in the last round by St. Vincent. So we're looking next year, hopefully, to repeat our winning streak of 2017 and 2018. But there needs to be so much more support and so much more interest in the art of debating so that it really, takes hold as it should. and students can succeed even more than they currently do. But yes, the Dominica State College Literary and Debating Society, we've had a good track record thus far in the regional competition, the Windward Islands debating competition.
Yeah, and I also think what would be helpful, Trudy, is if you tell us about the students' experience. So tell
Hmm.
us about what it is like when they first come in to join the debate, how they might be timid, they might be
Yes,
unsure, and how do they evolve? How do they blossom? What changes do you see in
happen.
them?
Yeah, so a lot of students, particularly now, they come in with no prior experience in debating and often no prior experience in public speaking, period. So not that they just have not debated, they have not had the opportunity to even speak in public or in front of an audience. So you do get, some students coming in very opinionated, maybe they do have their thoughts and their ideas on the various issues that are being discussed, but they have this stage fright. They're afraid of, public speaking. The whole thought of being on camera often, scares them. So you have to go through a process of kind of getting them warmed up and comfortable with the whole public aspects of debating. And after that, it kind of takes off. What I can say that is very positive for the students in terms of their experience is the ability they get to network with like-minded students when they go to these competitions. And even here locally in the club that we have, you see the students get together, they have similar interests, similar passions, similar drive. These are students oftentimes who want to do something. They want to change their environment. They want to, discuss and really have their thoughts known on important issues of national importance. So when you get that type of grouping, these students who are ambitious and who really want to move forward, you have a very nice opportunity for networking. And I have seen through the years that these students are making lifelong connections with
Mhm.
people from the region that they meet when they go, to the, for instance, the Windward Islands debating competition. So all of a sudden they have, St. Lucian friends and they have Grenadian friends and they have Vincentian friends, and a truly good opportunity to network and for their future have these type of connections that can set them apart from the rest.
Mhm. Yeah, and that is so important because you never know where a particular connection can take you. I mean,
Right.
look at the two of us. We're both Midwestern State alumni, and we're still
Yes.
in touch with Dr. Randy Glean. As a matter of fact,
Yes.
I mentioned today you were going to be on the program because we have some really good news to share at the end of the program. Let me just make a note so I don't forget. And
Hmm.
he has been pretty much in our lives for decades at this point,
Yes.
still interested in helping Dominica, still interested in pushing the Caribbean region forward. So, what you're saying is absolutely correct that you never know where these networking opportunities are
Right.
going to take you.
Right, right,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
the
So,
example of Dr. Glean is so, it's so interesting because it's through, this opportunity that the two of us got,
yes.
to go overseas and to further our education that now allows us to be part of this very huge network. The two of us met and we didn't even know we had attended, the same university and we were part of this broader network,
Mhm.
the Caribbean Students Organization. So it's rather interesting, and I want students now to get that same opportunity.
Yeah, yeah. And I think many times, we don't pay enough attention to areas such as public speaking, which, when you think about it, is so critical to just about every aspect of our life. And as I see more people joining in on Facebook, you as well can be a part of the conversation and tell us how critical thinking skills have helped you in what areas of your life and why it is so important. But I think also, Trudy, it is so important to have role models when we talk about public speaking and
Mhm.
speaking to audiences in general. And I think why it is so important is that we need to be able to disagree and have arguments without taking it to the gutter, without
Right.
name calling. And
Mm.
unfortunately, I have to say, we haven't seen some really good examples of this when we look at the political arena in Dominica.
Right,
So
right,
I think part of
definitely.
what you're doing, and you can let me know your thoughts on this, is teaching the students at the state college the importance of putting forth your arguments
Mhm.
without getting to the point where you're so outraged, you have no more ammunition, that
Mm.
all you can think to do is to drag your opponent's name in the
Right.
mud. So let me hear your thoughts on that.
Right. There's a thing that I say, or people may have heard me say, we need to be able to disagree without degrading. We need to be able to disagree without, trying to be destructive. And that is something that debating teaches you. One of the fundamental rules of formal debate is that you cannot use any sort of derogatory language towards your opponent. You must be able to speak to the points that you have to argue and defend your points without being derogatory towards your opponents. If you do so, you're going to get automatically disqualified. So the students are now put in a setting for formal debates where they learn how to manage an argument without having to go down into the gutter. And this is critical. This is a lifelong skill.
Yes.
This is a lifelong skill. This is what people need to be able to do. So as I always tell them, the art of debating is, you want to convince your opponent that what you believe is the best side, or you want to convince your opponent that what you have researched and what you know, the facts that you have to prove what you believe, this is the most accurate picture there is. So it's about convincing. It's not about giving mepui. And the young people, when they are trained in formal debating, like in our club, they can do this quite well. I have not had students going down to the level of you're stupid or this or that in informal debate, because you just are taught that you can't do that. And through their training, then, if they move forward, they will be able to have, public discourse without doing what we see some of the politicians doing. So it is a fundamental, I would say, life skill to be able to convince somebody, to argue your point, to show why you think what you think, to prove a point and not, be derogatory or degrading in any way to your opponent. So the views of two people can differ, but the respect for the two, doesn't have to fly out the window.
Hmm.
So
Well, I have to tell you, I think a couple of politicians would have been kicked out of your debate, your debate club by now for,
yeah,
for
I
the name
know,
calling, the gate was, and the name
I
calling,
know,
and
I
it's,
know.
and you have to remember that you are a public figure, and the young people are looking at you to set an example. So I know we're going to have a very engaging conversation this evening, Trudy. So I want to thank you for being here. And I've already received a question that just came in, and it says, should debates be encouraged or be mandatory between the contenders of top national political leadership in Dominica, such as the position of the prime minister, as is the case in primaries in the GOP and DNC, and between GOP and DNC party rivals at the state and federal levels in the United States. So, should we
Mhm.
have more debates in our political arena? Is what this person is sending a message about.
I think that we should. I mean, I've always felt strongly about that. As the as the debate coach, of course, I feel that we should have debates at a high level. Once upon a time, I had this great idea to do an adult debate. So take it out of
Yes,
schools completely,
yes.
and form this association that we could organize debates amongst professionals, adults,
Mhm.
but definitely on the political in the political sphere, I think it is also necessary. You just have to be able to have, lively, yes, lively discourse.
Mhm.
You know, differences of opinion, but in a very, respectable way, in a way that, and in a way that at the end of the day, the two parties actually learn from each other, and one may learn why the other one thinks that way, and may even start to understand, the other person's idea, and somewhat concede a point or two to that individual. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So this topic, or this question of, should we have debates at high levels, political levels, I've always felt that we should, and I feel that we are, doing ourselves a disservice by not demanding that we do have this type of elevated discourse. That's what I refer to it as, an elevated discourse. Let people see why you disagree with this, and how is your point, the stronger one. What facts do you have to back this up, you know
Mhm.
so
Yeah,
I
I truly think that, having debate competitions and having high level discourse, as you call them, it shows our character. Because if
Mhm.
you can show that you can stick to your points, you can make your arguments without lambasting your opponent, it shows the character that you're bringing with you as an individual. And we also have to remember, Trudy, that this applies in just about every area of our life. Because think about conversations within our families. Think
Mhm.
about
Right.
conversations between partners, married couples, partners,
Mhm.
boyfriend and girlfriends, children, right?
Mhm.
Just because they disagree with you, are you going to start calling them names, or are you going to,
Right.
like you said, try to convince them of your
Mhm.
point?
Mhm. So persuasion, or the art of persuasive speaking, or persuasive even writing, can take us through so many different aspects of
Yes.
life. You mentioned family life, but it can also take us through work life, or careers. The first thing you have to do is to persuade an employee to then an employer to employ you. I mean, this is how we get started in this in the world of work. Most people don't get the opportunity to just go off and be an entrepreneur, right off the get-go. Most people, you start off working for someone, and you need to be able to convince this person, persuade this person, hey, I'm the best person for this job. All my competitors, are not as well suited as I am for this job. This is persuasion, and this is what you learn to do in formal debating. And it's a big tool, as you go through life, in relationships, yes, at work, yes, everywhere. It is a very
Yeah,
important
and
tool.
I'm really happy we're having this conversation, because I think what we're seeing is that the debate competition that you offer at the state college goes far beyond on the surface what you're actually doing, because now we're seeing the implications in just about every area of our lives. And just to stay on the topic of the work life, even after you get the job, those are still
Mhm.
skills that you need, because you might
Mhm.
want to negotiate for a pay raise. You might
Right.
want to have, you might be in a team and there might be a difficult person. What are you going to resort to, calling them names, or arguing your points, and being heard, and showing others that, these are the points that I'm bringing to the table. And it is okay if you have a difference of opinion. But the most important thing is that we're going to respect each other's position. So if you're just joining us, we're here with Miss Trudy Christian. We're talking about the debate competition that she holds at the State College, and now her decision to take it to the secondary school level to build those important critical thinking skills that we all need, and also to be able to teach especially our younger people how to be independent thinkers. And as we're having this conversation, Trudy, the other thing that comes to mind is having a strong stance, right, with regards to being an independent thinker and a critical thinker. Because let us talk about how we can be so easily swayed by others with their own agenda. So let's talk about, the role that religious personalities may play, the role that politicians may play. If you're not somebody who's an independent thinker, how easily it can be for you to be swayed to one side or the other.
Right. Yes, an independent thinker. And I think what comes along with being an independent thinker is doing your own there is so much argument over this doing your own research
Yes.
phrase that I was going to use at the time of COVID, and how everybody had their own research to back up their claims
I know.
about the
False
virus.
research and all.
Yes, yes. But what I wanted to really point to is if you are solid in in what you think, it has to be because you have proof, or you have seen some facts to support what it is that you are believing. And so being an independent thinker has some work that has to come along with it. You
Mhm.
will be easily swayed if you've never investigated things on your own. You've never, okay, how does this work and why does it work this way? Almost, being this sort of this individual that doesn't take something at face value. You always want to know the why. How toddlers, their favorite word at times is why.
Mhm.
So even as adults, we have to continue with this type of behavior. We need to understand, okay, I believe this. Why? What is the evidence to support this? What are the facts that go along with this? Not just I believe it because other people are saying it.
Mhm.
We tend to do a lot of he say, she say. So she said that they say this is good for flu, or they say this is. But did you have you read any article talking about the benefits of this, or have you spoken to a person in the health field about the benefits of this method? So without the backing of proof, of research, of facts, um, being and staying independent in thinking can be difficult. So it
Mhm.
comes with some work. You need to be able to exercise your mind, exercise your thought processes, for you to stick to your guns and really be a true independent thinker. And it's difficult for a lot of people. I can tell you it is difficult for a lot of people. Um, to be independent thinkers. And it's something that we want to encourage. We want to change this picture and have a lot more ability to be independent in thought.
Yeah, yeah. And one of the things I'm also finding is, we need to move away from just regurgitating what we've heard other people say. Because I'm
Mhm.
finding that a lot, that you listen to folks talk. I was just in Dominica recently, and you listen to people talk, and many times they're simply regurgitating something else they've heard somebody in authority say. And I always think to myself, well, have you really thought this through? Or are you simply regurgitating what you've heard somebody else said? So I really think it is important, the work that you're doing at the State College. And we want to get into what convinced you to take this to the secondary schools level as well. But let us acknowledge everyone who is joining us on the Facebook Live. Clyde Gregoire, thank you for being here this evening. Peter Thomas, David Joseph says greetings and good night, one and all. Colson Shillingford, lovely to see you. Brina Francis, Tess Freeman, Nixie Alfred, Desmond Green. So, guys, come on in. We are very interested in hearing your thoughts on this topic as it relates to developing critical thinkers, developing independent thinkers in Dominica. Medora Lewis, greetings, ladies, and greetings, Lammy. Very interesting panel. Thank you for that. Chris Bugunu, blessed love family. Hi, Dr. Simone. We need to parley. Okay, we need to talk. Okay, Chris, thank you for being here this evening. So, Trudy, what inspired you with everything that you're already involved in? What inspired you to decide to take the debate competition at the State College to the secondary schools?
Okay, so let's take it back a bit. So at the state college, what we have is a club. We don't have a running competition at the state college, but we do take part in a regional competition once a year. So what we have is a debate club. Now, as it relates to the high school level and what inspired me to reintroduce debating at the high school level, it's not that this did not exist. So that's why I am very clear with the reintroduce word. long ago, or I think this stopped somewhere in 2016, but the Kiwanis Club of Roseau used to host the debating competition amongst the high schools. So it was called the National Debating Competition. Each high school would, send forth their competitors, and I am a beneficiary of this competition. So in 2000 in 2000, right? So in 2000, I was in fourth form at the convent high school, and Mrs. Levy came and she said, we need two people to represent the convent high school in this debating competition. And who wants to do it? And all my friends who knew I love to talk, I've always been a talker. All my friends were like, "Oh, Trudy can do it," and that's how I just got pushed into debating. So it was me and my friend Shana. We were the two debaters from the convent high school, and we went on to win this competition in 2000 and become the champions for the island, the convent high school, in that debating competition. So that competition had a great impact on my life. It was my opportunity to really, gain experience in public speaking. And since then, I have never stopped, you know, being a public speaker. So now I host shows. I of course I'm an educator, so I'm in the classroom. So that is also public speaking. So it kind of propelled me onto a lot of different things. I am, able to hold my own in different forums. And that
Mm-hmm.
is something that I want students to get the opportunity to do as well. So when the competition kind of fell by the wayside somewhere in 2016, there has been an absence of debating at the high school level since then. We're in 2022, almost 2023. And without that competition at the high schools, many of the high schools no longer have a debate club, neither do they have, students who know about the art of debating. They don't, even the teachers, because staff changes all the time. So teachers who may have been there when the competition was on, they're no longer there. Some of the schools don't have the human resource to really train the students in debating and public speaking. So I figured if this competition were to be reintroduced, that would kind of inspire people in the high schools to start putting debating back on the front burner. So to start, forming their little clubs in the high schools so that they can send students to participate in the competition from their clubs, for the teachers themselves to get excited about it again, to want to train the students. So I felt that there was this void since that competition was, put down in 2016. I felt that there was a void. I'm seeing students coming into the state college now who have never had the opportunity to debate or to have any public speaking experience, and you are tertiary level. You are a tertiary level student without having had the opportunity to present your ideas, to present your thoughts ever in a public space. And I felt that this is crippling to the young people. They need that avenue to be able to do that. So I decided, I changed position within the state college. I was the director of student activities, which was an extremely hectic job, and I got a promotion to a dean, and it is a little bit more, you would think it might be more more intense, but it's not. So with that newfound time, I decided, okay, this is the year to start pushing this into secondary schools debating competition. And so far, the response from the schools has been great. The teachers are a little, some of them a little apprehensive because it's been a while since they've done this, or some of them have never done it. And of course, everybody wants to put their best foot forward. But in terms of willingness, they are definitely willing. They are ready to go. The first round of competition begins in January. January 10th, to be exact, is the first round of intersecondary school debate.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the timeline of events that you sent me. So you launched December 2022. You had an
Yes.
official launch ceremony. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so on December 1st, we did an official launch where the representatives from the different schools were invited and they got to dip for their topic and for what school they would be debating against in
Mm.
round one. So we unfortunately one school pulled out at the last minute because I think that school is facing an imminent closure. So
Mm.
that school pulled out. So we were left with an uneven number of schools, an
How
odd
many
number of
schools are we
schools.
talking?
So now we have 13 schools.
Mm.
Initially, it was 14 that were going to participate. So 13 are participating. And what that means is that one school will get an automatic buy into the next round because they don't have a partner to debate against in round one. So 13 schools are participating, but in that first round, only 12 schools, which means six debates in the first round. And that 13th school will get an automatic transition into round two. So they feel lucky, but at the same time, at the same time, they will not have the practice that the other schools would have gotten in round one. So it's a kind of, catch-20 situation where okay, you feel good that you just get pushed into round two, but at the same time, you would have maybe benefited from the experience of doing round one. So
Mhm.
13 schools participating, and in the first round, we have six debates, and these will occur January 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th. So 4 days, six debates. So it's a week where Dominica is going to see the young people on display debating in on topics, very interesting topics.
Yeah,
One of
can you share some of the topics with us?
yeah, I'm not going to share the specific wording, but I'll give you the,
Right.
the gist of the topics. One topic has to do with the need for a rehabilitation, a drug rehabilitation center in Dominica. Is it basically what we need to curb the drug abuse crisis? So there is a topic phrased around that. There is a topic phrased around our forests and whether they need to be sacrificed for us to develop our infrastructure a bit more. So this whole debate of I guess it would be conservation versus development. This is
Mhm.
going to be tackled in round one. There is another topic about the role of fathers and
Mm.
whether fatherhood, the rights afforded to fathers, are somewhat less than mothers in our social and religious and financial spheres. So I know in that topic a lot of men may be interested in hearing, what do the young people have to say? Is the role of the father somewhat minimized in
Mhm.
our different avenues here in Dominica, our social and our religious so on systems. And the last one is about prisoners and they having sufficient or adequate rights. Do they have adequate rights, or should more rights be afforded to those who are imprisoned? So in that first round, these are the four areas that will be touched on: a drug rehabilitation center, the fathers and whether they are being, kind of curtailed in what is afforded to them, our forests and whether they are impeding our development,
Mhm.
and our prisoners, should they be getting more rights than they have, or are they fine, with what they have? So these are some of the areas. These are the four areas. And as the competition moves from round one, which is in January, to round two in February, round three in April, and round four, the final round, where the last two schools standing will go against each other, um, the topics will get, more and more intense. So round one topics, they are good topics, but we will be elevating the topics as you go from round one to two to three to four.
Yeah, and I think what we're noticing as well is that you're talking about real societal issues.
Issues,
You're not
yes.
talking about theory, you're not talking about conjecture, you're talking about real societal issue that can actually lead to some solutions.
Yeah, because we want, so I and the people who, there are people helping me with this. We want the students to be able to have these sort of discussions, which are everyday life
Mhm,
discussions, They need to be able to have the evidence to support their views when people talk about drug abuse, or when people talk about, this is the way to develop Dominica. What are your views? What have you researched? What do you believe? And we want to give them that opportunity. Sometimes there are, a classic example is like when the Queen show is coming up. And I have trained Queen contestants for years. I have done this. I've had some who have been very successful, like Tasia Flosak. I will just mention her. They always try to get the queen contestants to now start paying attention to what's going on, in the news and what's going on locally. And my thing is, this is supposed to be done all year round. It cannot be
mhm,
when you want to send someone on stage to represent the country that you then have to give them a crash course on local or societal issues. The discussion should be all the time. People should be aware, young people should be made to feel a part of the local dialogue on these issues, So I think the debate will give them that opportunity. They will feel like, we have researched this, we are putting forward ideas and our opinions as well about an actual societal, issue right here in
mhm.
Dominica.
And I also think, very importantly, it speaks to the need to encourage our young people to know what's going on around you. As
Yes,
a child,
yes.
I always remember my father saying, "Have you read the newspaper today?" And he would bring
Mm-hmm.
home the newspaper. I was responsible for reading the newspaper and then reporting back to him what I understood as a 12 and 13-year-old child, what I understood in terms of what was going on in the world around me. So I think on even a larger scale, for those who are preparing for the competition and for our general Dominican population, whether we live in Dominica or overseas, we have to start teaching our children to know what is going on in the world around them.
Right, right, exactly, exactly. So we need, this has to be, and that is the thing too, Simone. We cannot do it, as I mentioned, in a Vicky way. Oh, it's just
Right,
for an event. We want
right.
them to learn this, or it's just for them to, look good in some sort of regional something. We want them to talk about these issues. We need to be very strategic in giving these opportunities for them to progress in that way all the time. So sometimes I say, we want certain things, us, the adults, the grown-ups, we say, oh, young people should be able to do this. But when it comes down to these bread and butter decisions that sometimes we have
Mhm,
to make, okay, this is I have a company or whatever, and there are people asking me to support different ventures. And one of the ventures is a jam, is a CWO, and another one is an educational event. The educational event may not attract as many patrons,
mhm,
so you might think to yourself, well, my brand will not get as much reach by sponsoring the educational event as it would get sponsoring the jam or the CWO. But we have to stop and think, but which one will be more beneficial in the long run to our population? And what is benefiting young people, I guarantee you, and I think everybody, would agree, is benefiting the country on a whole. This is a long-term plan. So we have
mhm,
to invest in these opportunities for young people. We have to make conscious efforts to support these activities that will build young people, that will help young people in some way. And the more conscious we are about building and improving and helping young people, is the better society we will have overall. It's
mhm,
not going to just happen, out of nowhere. We have to take these little small steps. Okay, I see this is happening, and maybe I can mentor one young person. I have a degree in whatever it is, and maybe this one young person in this high school, wants to become this. If I'm an engineer or whatever I am, maybe I can just reach out and just mentor this one person. And see what I know, we had a talk once about mentorship. So that's another
Yes,
way. That's
yes.
another way that, we always have to say to ourselves, what can we do to help this next generation? Because whatever they put out is what our world will be. We need them
Yeah,
to
yeah, and
thrive.
so yeah, and Trudy, you're hitting the nail on the head over and over again because so many times we criticize our young people, and
Yes,
it breaks
yes.
my heart when I hear us criticizing our young people because I think to myself, but we're their parents. So where have
Right,
we failed
right,
them? Where have
right,
we failed them that this is what we are seeing coming from our young children? And that is
right.
why you know that I am very passionate about mentorship because maybe some of the skills our young people need were not taught to their parents, no fault of theirs, that we cannot give what we've never received. So maybe
Right.
those skills were not taught to their parents. So this is where we as a community have to
Mhm,
step in and say, hey, I've heard you speaking and I can tell that you have a passion for this topic. Why don't you
mhm.
come and speak with me and let's just explore this a little bit further? Because this has to be the village raising our children.
Right, right, exactly. And
Yeah.
we cannot, I mean, there will be times we will not be able to maybe give of our time or our effort. We might have some competing interests, but we have to be so conscious. Okay, I can help. I maybe don't have the time to help, for the entire month, but I can give one day, or I can give,
Yes.
1 hour, whatever you can do. And if everybody keeps thinking that way, then you have a whole cadre of, people who are looking out for the youth and trying to engage and develop the youth in whatever area they can. Today, Simone, somebody reached out to me, and that's from I want to mention this from Vibian TV,
Mhm.
and said to me that they would do live streaming of all the debates for free. And that is, so even if you cannot give of let's say you cannot make a financial contribution to a young person's venture or whatever, but you have a particular talent that you can contribute to make something work for young people, then you do that. So
Mhm.
I was very pleased, that somebody would just want to offer that service, because it shows that we are really putting our hands together to make these things for the young people work.
Yeah, and I certainly want to spend some time this evening to talk about how we as a community, Dominicans at home and abroad, friends of Dominica, anyone who's interested can be a part of this venture because I truly think it is
Mhm.
important. But it's approaching the top of the hour already. So let us take a minute to invite our callers. And I see we have several messages on Facebook, on WhatsApp. So we will also read those comments as well. So Lambi, you can take it away.
This is
You're
Root,
muted.
this is Roots Connection and Q. Taking your calls. The numbers are 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097, 616-4257, 305-432-9624. Let me run those numbers one more time. 449-3095-96 and 97, 616-4257, 305-432-9624. Back to you, Simon.
Yes, thank you. And in case anyone is joining us late, we are just talking about the inter-school secondary school debate competition that Miss Trudy Christian is reintroducing in Dominica, and how we can all support our need to develop and improve the critical thinking skills and the independent thinking skills of especially the young people in Dominica, so that they can think for themselves and by extension they can make decisions that are not driven by people of influence, people in authority, that they can truly make independent decisions. So we have a message coming in on WhatsApp, and it says, there was once in existence a very dynamic Dominica literary debating society, which many of Dominican's outstanding speakers like Ozzie Lewis and others may be able to expand on for purposes of informing what Miss Trudy Christian is thinking about doing and should be encouraged to do at the national level. It would be good if persons who knew about the debating club or society, as it may have been named, could call and share their knowledge about it and how it helped many people to develop their public speaking skills, which is very much needed in Dominica at this time. So, Trudy, are you familiar with the Literary Debating Society?
No, I'm not. So it
Wow.
seems if the person is saying Aussie was a part of it, it seems this is before my time.
Right.
And it would be interesting. And that's the thing, continuity. So sometimes
Yes.
people do have these good programs and good initiatives, and then
Mhm.
they maybe the force behind it, the person who was maybe the most enthusiastic, the person moves on, and then the thing just falls flat.
Mhm.
Which is what I
Mhm.
don't want to happen with this, reintroduced competition. We need that continuity of action. It cannot
Mhm.
be, we do something and then we forget about it. So I would be interested in learning about what existed prior.
Mhm.
Because as I mentioned earlier, in addition to what I'm doing with the young people, I feel it would be instructive for like for adults,
Mhm.
to also have that avenue to debate or to professionally and formally discuss issues of differing opinions. I know there's the Toastmasters Club, but
Yes.
which trains in public speaking, but there isn't currently something for adults to debate. So if
Mhm.
this individual who sent the message, maybe can encourage who used to be a part of this organization to call us and let us know what
Yeah, and I usually ask for contact information at the end of the program, but because this person made such a valuable contribution, I would encourage you to maybe provide an email address or a way of contacting you in case, Ozzie Lewis or someone who's familiar with this debate society wants to reach out and make a meaningful contribution.
Mhm. Yes, for my email address.
Yes.
Okay, so it's my email address is Trudy, Trudy.Christian@gmail.com. So it's my
Mhm.
name, Trudy.Christian@gmail.com.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
again, like you just mentioned, it's about continuity where, we've had so many great programs that have
Mhm.
fallen by the wayside, and now our
Mhm.
generation have no knowledge, and now here we are reinventing the wheel.
Reinventing the wheel. But you see, like for the intersecondary schools debating competition, I'm trying as much as possible to not reinvent the wheel so much because, as I mentioned, the Kiwanis Club did host this debate for years. I was, a participant in the Kiwanis National Secondary Schools debating competition. So many of my peers were as well. So trying to kind of revive and follow some of the same foundational things that the Kiwanis Club put in place. But yeah, we have things that we can build on. It just takes us, the people, one, to chronicle what it is that we're doing, because that's something else that we lack. Is sometimes, people do things, but there's no record. Sometimes people laugh and say that I take pictures and videos of everything, but it's my way of chronicling, things that are happening in my life. And when we do programs, we need to do that as well, so somebody else can come in and have a blueprint of what it is that we were doing. So if we are wiped off the face of the earth, somebody else can say, oh, this is what, this organization used to do, or this is what, this used to look like. So the publicity, the recording of information is also so important.
Yeah.
Before I started this intersecondary schools debating competition, trying to reintroduce it, the first thing I did was I called Felix Wilson, who was so instrumental in the Kiwanis Club, and I said, Mr. Wilson, how did you all organize this competition back in the day? And he told me exactly what they used to do. And so that gave me, the information I needed to kind of start moving forward. So it's
Mhm.
very important.
Yeah, and I think what's important as well is that you're documenting along the way so that
Hmm.
when the next generation comes along and then someone asks, well, did you remember the debate society, the debate club at the state college, when the next generation is not sitting here saying, no, never heard of it, because now we've documented it.
Yes, yes.
So that is important. But before
Hmm.
we go back to the timeline of the inter-school secondary school debate competition, let's take some more comments. Chris Bugunu says, I'm in full agreement with the intellectual behavior of the lady who's speaking of debate. It's Miss Christian. Chris, in case you forgot, that time moves on and the youth continually are the ones who can or should be in census of their well-being in every aspect. Our past knowledge of thought and practicality, what we believe, only work based on what we believe is good or bad. She's quite correct in having debate dialogue as in empowering every generation to create their own path. So thank you, Chris. That's a great comment. Let's see what else everybody else is saying. Colson, very good program. Thank you, Colson. Chris Bugunu, from what she's saying, if there's a non-for-profit and organization that can be funded or founded, reach out to me. So, Chris, I think it might be easier for you to get in touch with Trudy, or if you want to provide an email address, Chris, she would be more than happy to reach out to you. But again, her email address is trudy.christian@gmail.com. Carl Kofi James, good to see you. There's the need to establish a mentorship program for the children, but the elders themselves needs to be of critical mindset. So true. He also continues, I can recall my days back home. I would rope in the young men in the Kinfield community. I would sponsor basketball and football teams, but more so would encourage them to read and write poetry. Thank you. Chris Bugano. What I've noticed is that our adult education program are no longer providing and putting the emphasis towards those who are less than a high school diploma, which most of them are smart and progressive. The idea of this discussion being more than political are the dialogues that really interest me. Yeah, so Chris, we're taking it beyond politics and we're showing how these are important skills that apply in every area of your life, from your job to your family to your relationships. Peony Shirley, great to see you. Very good program, but I'm late tonight. I just came in. So, Peony, always remember you can go back on Q95 FM radio, push past 10, and catch the program from the beginning. So, Trudy, any comments based on the feedback we're receiving in the chat?
Yeah, some good feedback. I take note of the call for mentorship, and say it was Kofi who said,
Mhm.
but the adults, the elders also need to be of a critical mindset. Yeah, so in choosing in becoming a mentor, you also have to be somebody who can pass on that critical mindset or instruct in critical thinking to the
Mhm.
young people. So mentorship needs to be very carefully kind of organized. You don't want to do more harm than good, but it's a definite good. It can definitely give a lot of benefits to young people if they have good mentors, on their side. So very interested comments. I like what Chris is saying as well, and the whole fact that this conversation and this dialogue, and when we talk about debating, it doesn't just have to be about political topics. It's something that is a part of all aspects of of our life. I remember when I was younger and I took part in the debating competition when I was in high school. One of the topics was about the laws and institutions that are put in place to protect the rights of the child. Are they adequate? And I was 14 or 15 years old, having to research the laws and institutions for the protection of the child. And in today's world, we have been having so many discussions, particularly recently, about child abuse and child sexual abuse and what is in place to protect children. So that is to show you how, these type of conversations and these type of dialogues, they transcend time, they always relevant, and people have to be able to discuss issues of importance all throughout their life, and the more you know, the better able you are to make a meaningful contribution.
Absolutely. So let's go back to the timeline. So you launched in December, you launched this month, December
Yes,
2022, the official launch ceremony, which went very well. Now you also have in December the training sessions for debate coaches. So tell us about
yes.
that.
Well, actually, tomorrow, Thursday, I'm doing a session with the coaches. Some people I had wanted to do, there was this gentleman who was supposed to do a session for me. Um, he's part of the Windward Islands debating competition organizing committee, and he's from Montserrat. But our times could not align. So I decided to do the workshop. But I do think that as the competition progresses, so my first workshop with coaches is tomorrow. But I do think that as time progresses and the competition progresses, coaches may need even more, assistance, more help. And, this is a good opportunity for me to make that call, particularly if, let's say, you have debate experience or coaching experience, or you have, you have good debate strategy maybe, and you can reach out to your alma mater and say, hey, I heard about this competition. I want to help my old school, put their best foot forward. How can I help the teachers who are helping the students? And this is a way that you can contribute as well. I mean, you might be sitting listening to this program and you might be able to lend some support to your past high school, even if you're not in Dominica. And that is the great thing about this whole interconnectivity that we have. You could be wherever you are and you could have a Zoom meeting with a coach,
Mhm.
or you can have a Zoom meeting with the students and you can help them put together some points for the
Mhm.
debate. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
So,
Trudy, you're just singing to the choir, you're preaching to
yeah,
the choir, because if anybody has been following my programs, what you're saying is exactly what I preach every day. We are a
yeah,
borderless country in
right,
Dominica.
right,
So
right.
anyone from anywhere, if your school is participating and you want to see that school spirit revived in you, we all support our schools. We are convent girls,
Yes,
and for us, that is the greatest school in Dominica. And anybody who went to grammar school, that is the greatest
right,
school in Dominica.
right,
So why
right,
not give back by
right.
training those who are going in the debate competition to
Mhm.
support their efforts?
Exactly. Just today, a colleague, a friend of mine, shared this article that was written about him and his classmates in 1995 when they won the debating competition for the Dominica Grammar School. And he
Mhm.
told me, this was such an important part of their life. And he is somebody now who can reach out to his alma mater, the Dominica Grammar School, and assist that team. So, this is the type of spirit that we need to really encourage. It doesn't have to feel like a one-man show in something like
Mhm.
this. You have skills, you have talents, you have some time, or you're willing to make that time. You can reach out to your alma mater and see what you can do to really
Mhm.
promote this endeavor. And I'm telling you, I have seen it over and over. The students feel so supported when you have people that actually reach out instead of them always having to ask for help. But when you have adults that are actually reaching out and saying, let me help you, do this, or I can maybe help you put together some arguments for this debate. I have a lot of ideas about whatever topic it is that you're working on. They feel so good. Like this is one of the biggest, boosts for young people when people actually reach out to them and
Mhm,
assist without them having to what they feel is beg. So when
mhm.
people just, hey, I'm here. Even parents, Simone, and that is also so important. We had a poetry night. My debate club is a literary and debating. So the literary aspect has to come in place. So there was a poetry night, and a lot of the parents turned out. And I was so proud because just them coming to see their students
Yeah,
recite their poems, these
yeah.
students were like, they felt so empowered, like, all these adults are here looking at us, so we need
Mhm.
to
Yeah,
give
yeah, and
them.
it's validation because as human beings, we all want to be validated. We all want to
Right,
know that we are special. We
right.
may not be special to the 8 billion people on the surface of the earth, but we are special to a few people, and that sort of massages the ego of our young people
Yeah,
and builds their self-esteem, builds their confidence.
yeah,
So I
definitely.
really want to thank you, Trudy, for the important work that you're doing in this area. So, are you currently looking for additional coaches, or do you have all the coaches? And you also mentioned the training session for the debate officials. So,
Yes.
tell us about
So
that
so
as
the
well.
so the training session for the debate officials has passed. It was facilitated by Dr. Kimon Joseph, head of
Mhm.
the UE Open Campus here in Dominica. So she did a wonderful session for the debate officials. There is a group of 23 people who have consented to lend their support as either judges or moderators in this upcoming competition. And more than half of them were present for that training. Of course, it was recorded. So, other people who did not make it are able to follow up. But it was a very good, it was a very good feel to see, people giving of their time so freely to attend this training so that when January comes, everybody is nice and standardized. The judges know what they're doing. The moderators know what they're doing. We won't have any claims of they volley or she volley or he. But you know how we are in Dominica.
We quick to call
You
people volley.
you know how we are in Dominica. So the judges have been trained and their judging process has been standardized. Dr. Kimon Joseph was wonderful in that session. And as I said, the training for the coaches is tomorrow. Now, each school has to select their own coach or coaches to help their students. So I do not know if more coaches are needed. That would be a matter of the school itself. So I'm the the coordinator of the event, but the individual high schools, of course, have to organize their own teams and organize their participation in the competition. So there may be a need for additional help. I remember one high school reached out to me, and I can't remember, and I don't want to call the wrong name, and asked me, if I could suggest any of my past students to assist their team because they really didn't have sufficient capacity on staff, they felt, to prepare the students. And I did give them some suggestions. Students who had been through the Dominica State College Literary and Debating Society and who had done well, who could maybe, help their team. So this is the type of thing that can happen freely. I mean, you might just want to reach out if you still have a contact with your secondary school that you attended and you want to just lend a helping hand to them, you can reach out. So I do not know for sure who needs help, but there is a great likelihood that some schools do need some additional help. So feel free to reach
Yeah, and
out.
it's so interesting that you mentioned the students at the state college because that was going to be my next comment. That it would be wonderful if those who are in the literary and debate society at the state college are now able to, pay it forward, reach back to their
Yes.
secondary schools with this on their own experiences and now assist their secondary schools to prepare for the debate competition.
Mhm. So the current group that I have, unfortunately, because of COVID, these students who are at the state college now, they have not gotten a chance to debate themselves. So they have not taken part in the Windward Islands debating competition since it was off because of COVID. We haven't had a chance to do much actual public debating because everything was online, for the
Mhm.
past two years or so. So what has happened is this current group, they will be assisting with the debate in terms of playing different roles like timekeepers, ushers. So the actual event, the debate, they will be lending their assistance in that regard. But for the technical assistance, to help with writing arguments or to strategize on how best to approach a topic, I would rely more on students who have graduated from the Dominica State College
Mhm.
and got the opportunity to practice their debating skills in the years gone by. So I do have, and earlier on, I saw one of my past debaters who always helps out in terms of mentorship and who I had wanted to be on with us this evening, Rajiv Wallace. I
Mm.
saw he was on. I saw he was on a
Mhm.
bit earlier, but I do have past students like him who still lend a hand to students anytime they are called upon to do so. So we just need to continue that type of trend.
Yeah, yeah. So you said the first round is going to be January 9th, 10th,
It begins
12th, and
actually
13th
on the 10th, January
on
10th,
the
which is
10th.
Tuesday.
Mm-hmm,
Yes,
mm-hmm.
January 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th. So Tuesday to Friday, second week in
Yeah. And
January.
kind of tell us about where that will be held, if it will be open to
Yes.
the public. Will Vivian TV
Okay.
be carrying it in case, especially those of us overseas want to be a part of it?
Right. So the first round, so each January 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th, there will be a debate at UWI Open Campus each of these days at 2:30 p.m. And on two of those days, I need to get out my schedule. I don't have it in front of me, but
Mhm.
two of these days, there will be another debate going on simultaneously at the Public Service Union conference room, PSU. So on 2 days of that
One
week,
second, Trudy. I think we have a call. I don't mean to interrupt you. Let's take the call.
no
Sorry about
problem.
that.
Thank you, caller, for being there. Go ahead, please. Caller.
Dr. Simone, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
And yeah, good
Good
evening. I
evening.
just tuned in late, and I heard the topic is about debate. And it really touched a nerve in me, doctor, because to see we have a prime minister for 20s and he never held a debate. I wonder what kind of message is he sending to the younger one. Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm.
You have an advocate trying to train young people, how to debate, how to defend the points and the points to present their speech and so on. And you have our leaders of the country who govern in an island, never in a democratic country had a debate, Dr. Simon. So I just want to tell the young lady, that's a good vibes. Keep strong and teach the youth them right. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, caller. You are absolutely correct because we have to be the role models for our children. So we have to be the ones to show them the importance of, concepts like debating, the importance of ideas such as not, taking your opponents to the gutter because you don't agree. So I couldn't agree with you more. So, yeah, sorry, Trudy, for interrupting you. You were saying?
No, that's fine. That's fine. I actually just pulled up the schedule that I was trying to tell you about. So on the first day of debate, which is January 10th, the first round, we actually have the community high school going against the Isaiah Thomas Secondary School. So the ITSS against Community High School in the first debate, and that is January 10th at UWI Open Campus. And then on the second day, which is the 11th of January, we have the St. Martin's School going against the Cassibro Secondary School at UWI at 2:30, and we have the Alpha Waldron Seventh-day Adventist Academy going against the St. Mary's Academy at 2:30 at PSU. So on that day, there'll be two debates occurring simultaneously. So you have to decide which one you're going to go to, or which two schools you want to see battle it out. And then
Yes,
on the next,
we have a call again, Trudy.
okay.
Good evening, caller. Please go ahead.
Hello, good night.
Go
Good
right ahead.
night.
Yeah, Lambi, what's going on, brother?
Cool.
All right, good. Dr. Simone, Chris Bogner here.
Oh, hi, Chris. How are you?
I'm Christian. Yeah. My thing is, I've always been introduced to what we want to do for the youth, but we've had many of our people from grassroots, from time gone by, where they have developed their kids into thinking one way or the other. Most of it has been based on political. My thought is, what are the programs to re-educate our people as far as those of the same people who are left in a high school diploma, who are left of having a qualification to entertain the jobs and the employment stratosphere that is here today? And what are we to do based on the program, in really advocating for them to be part of debates as well? And I'm not only talking about those in civic and civil society who are naturally there because they're based on their education. I'm talking about the less than, I know people who were like me, who came from Pong, and those who might not even have a social security or pension, based on how they haven't been employed back in the day. But they're the ones who grew us. And so I would like to hear Dr. Christian's perspective on how do we interact with this same people, because we still based in Dominica based on how we think, our parents think, we think. And how can we introduce them to this same thinking and dialogue? And what does she have in mind?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Chris, for your contribution. I think you're making a very good point because, Trudy, you can jump in as well. But I think what he's saying is essentially, how do we reprogram people's thinking? Because we have generations of folks who may have grown up thinking a particular way. But I think just simply having the debate competition, Trudy, is saying to people that your argument is only one side of the argument. And, when I was in college, there was this series of books that I enjoyed reading, and I will never forget. They were called Opposing Views. So what they did is they presented arguments supporting one side. Let's talk maybe abortion, one side of the argument, and then it presented the opposite side. So you as the individual were exposed to both sides of the conversation, and then you were able to decide for yourself that independent thinking that we're talking about this evening. Where were you going to fall? Were you going to take a middle ground? Were you going to be swayed to the left or swayed to the right? So I think that Chris is making a very important point this evening. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, and he also, asked about people, I guess, without the benefit or of formal education.
Yes.
How do they get engaged as well? Now, my answer to that is a lot of formulation of thoughts, and even getting different thoughts formulated in one's mind has to do with exposure, what it
Yes.
is that you are exposed to. So, Simone, you are right. The debate competition is one way, but just general, access to reading material that can show different aspects of different things, access to media that gives you the different aspects of different topics. So I can go to a show, or I can go to a what you call it, some sort of panel discussion or some sort of, and I can listen to different views. And what I think is necessary for people to be able to formulate different thoughts is for us to be very, once again, very focused on making these opportunities available to everybody. And when I talk about opportunities, I'll repeat, access to reading material, varied reading material, access to, different sources of media, different sources of news, different
Mhm.
sources of entertainment as well, different sources. So when people have things like panel discussions, or if people put on something where there is a particular thing being discussed or information being presented, a forum or something like that, we should be very conscientious about allowing people to attend, even let's say in the work field, in the workforce. I'm working and I have a construction company or whatever, and there is this educational forum about the benefits or the uses of cannabis. I'm just
Mhm.
sprouting something from the top of my head. And some of the guys, on my construction team are really interested in this thing, but they have to work. Do I give them a half an hour off so that they can attend and they can maybe broaden their perspective? The answer should be yes. So we always have to look for, where can we help people, even outside of the formal education setting, to kind of gain access to more information so that their thoughts can be formulated. People don't formulate thoughts in the absence of information. So it's
Mhm.
all about getting exposure to varied sources of information, and then people can start to formulate thoughts. Travel is also a very good
Mhm.
aspect of that. So when you travel, then you get to explore so many different things. Your mindset can change completely about something.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes.
Because I
So,
know, and I don't know if you had that experience, but I know when I left Dominica and went to school overseas, my perspective completely changed. Because you
yes, yes.
start, and we have to be willing to see the world through other people's eyes. Because I
Mhm,
find many times we simply shun and shut off anybody who has an opinion that differs from us,
mhm,
rather than engaging them in a conversation and
mhm,
trying to figure out where exactly is this person coming from, right? So I
mhm.
think part of what you're saying is important, but part of it as well is also talking with people that we don't agree with.
Yes,
You
yes.
see what I'm
And
saying?
yes, and I'm going to bring this back full circle to the whole debating thing. When you take part in a debate, a formal debate, not only do you have to research your side and what it is that you want to prove and what is it that you're going to speak about, you also have to look into what is it your opponent is going to say. And in
Mhm.
so doing, you have a holistic perspective on the topic. So you can never enter a debate unaware of what are the arguments on the other side. And so when the other side speaks, you already, you have researched this thing, you have seen, how credible is the evidence on the other side? Is it something that I can dispute or is it something that I can accept? So debating also gives you this opportunity to listen to a side that you may not agree with and to kind of, pick at it. I don't agree with this, but maybe this part has some credibility. But no, this part is just not right. So you get
Mhm.
the opportunity to hear different sides of an issue and to therefore form an opinion of what you think is the best view, or the best way.
Yes, and I really want to make sure we have time to talk about how Dominicans at home and abroad can support this important initiative that you're doing. And the time always flies when we're on this program. So I want to make sure. So we talked about round one in January, round two will be in February. Round three will be in March. Round four will be in April. But do you have a way, Trudy, for us to follow along with the competition just to
Yes,
know what's
so
going on?
yes, so I have not started it yet, but there is a team of people supposed to be working on promotions for this
Mm-hmm.
thing. They've been a little slow, but a social media platform is supposed to be set up that will cover the debates go live with the debates and also show the results of each competition, maybe snippets of each competition, interesting points, whatever that were brought up in each competition. Vibian TV, who I mentioned just today, offered their support as a sponsor to broadcast the debates live. They will be coming on board in round two. So in round two, there'll be live coverage of the debates. In round one, what I need resources for, I am still in the process of gaining, adequate resources for this, but I do need live streaming of the first round. So it would be, and my thought is that we want to engage Emo News. But of course, I need to negotiate with Emo News a price package, a price package that we can afford. But the from the second round, it is being sponsored. The coverage is being sponsored. And I also have reached out to the radio stations. And so my hope is that they too will come on board and offer some live coverage via the radio for the debate competition, even if it's just for the finals. I would really love for the radio stations to cover this thing, and give a broader air to the competition. So we're looking for the live streaming for round one. We have already confirmed live streaming for round two, three, and four, the finals. And we, of course, my letters that I sent out to the radio stations, I will follow up in due time to see if the radio stations can also provide some live coverage for us for the debates. And the social media page we will be setting up, it will be Intersecondary Schools Debating Competition. And what I will be doing through the promotions committee is updating that page constantly with the debate activities, which school is debating which school, who are the competitors, kind of highlighting, what's going on so people can follow.
Yeah, and that is certainly an area I can help with as well, Trudy. And I'm so happy that you approached me to begin promoting this program. And that is certainly an area, my Push Past 10 platform gets about 25,000 visitors a month. So this is certainly an area that I would be more than happy, because I think we are seeing that there's a role for every one of us that we can
Yes,
play. And I
yes.
always think to myself, and I say it all the time, that if you cannot find and figure out a role that you can play, share the live. That's
I
all.
know, I know, I know,
It's
I
as
know,
simple as clicking share so
I
that the
know.
information can reach thousands of potential sponsors, thousands of potential other people who have ideas in terms of how they can support your initiative. So
Right, right.
there is a role that each one of us can play. And now we want to talk about additional support and the different items that you have in terms of where you need financial and other help. But before we do so, let us see what Facebook is saying. Eilif Peltier, good evening to you. Thank you for being here. Adelaide Joseph, Jennifer Fidel, my mom, Medina Senhouse, who's literally in the house. We're happy she's here for the Christmas holidays. Good evening, Mrs. Senhouse. So if you're just tuning in, we are talking to Miss Trudy Christian about the intersecondary schools debate competition and how we can all support the need to develop and improve critical thinking and independent thinking skills in our people, especially the young people, to secure the future of Dominica. So, Trudy, with regards to financial assistance, and I think we have a message coming in, so let me read it. Q95, this is from Mr. Sheridan Gregoire, the CEO of Q95. Mr. G, thank you for chiming in. Q95 will work with Miss Trudy Christian as far as possible. She can call me to discuss details and schedules. Yay!
Yay!
Thank you, Mr. G. You see what I said,
Thank
Trudy?
you.
Yes,
Yes, thank
thank you,
you.
Mr.
I will
G.
definitely reach out. I had plans to follow up, but I now have the impetus to call Mr. G and get this on the board. So yeah, I do appreciate that. And
Yes, thank you.
the more people that can be involved in this, the lighter work it is. More
Yes,
hands,
Yes.
lighter work,
Yes. Yes,
lighter
because
work.
let
Yeah.
us talk about, it's quite an ordeal to put all of this together, especially when you talk about the various rounds of the competition.
Yes.
So let's
Yes.
just talk about some of the major items on your agenda, like venue
Okay.
rental, transportation, trophies, because
Right.
maybe that will spark an idea in someone. When you talk about trophies, maybe the Simon, I'm not calling anybody's
Yes.
name, but maybe he might donate a couple of trophies. I don't know. I'm not his spokesperson. We have
Yeah.
a call coming in, Trudy.
Okay.
Good evening, caller. Thanks for joining us. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, Dr. Simone, it's me again. Let me just
Yes, sir.
congratulate Mr. Chief for giving us the platform for debate, because another place I think that topic is very, very important. We know we have a high rise in violent crimes in Dominica.
Yes.
And when young people cannot reason the differences, that's they seem to take like unnecessary action as to what's like in violence and fight and curse and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But if our young people know how to debate, how to reason,
Yes.
how to present your point and argue your point and defend what you believe in, I think it would go a long, long, long ways. It's easing up that tension. They said they always want to say young people is violent, or young people this, or young people that. But we ain't teaching them the right way, man. And I just want to say again, it's a very, very, very important subject, because people cannot reason, they cannot talk to each other without insult and make we and cuss you and fight, and so hats off, big up.
Yes, yes, and you're absolutely correct, caller.
Right.
Thank you so much for calling back, because you made a very important point with regards to our young people resorting to violence.
Mm-hmm.
Because you and
Mm-hmm.
I, Trudy, we may have the skills to be able to argue, and we might take it too far, but it stops. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, so our young people, with the intensity of the emotions, they take
Mm-hmm.
it one step further and it leads
Right.
to violence. So I
Right.
think that caller is making an excellent point.
A very excellent point. And there is a discipline that you learn, when you debate, or take part in formal debate. And it is that exact discipline that helps to curb, violence among people, because you learn to, as we said earlier, to disagree, to disagree with words, and to
Mhm.
leave it at that. But if you are not trained in that way, if you don't have that exposure, then you're going to resort to what is the easier and more volatile thing, which is to strike the opponents. But with words, we can speak, we can reason, and leave it there at the end of it. So the
Mhm.
caller made an excellent point. I always see the whole skill of debating as being one that can truly change how we relate to each other, and
Mhm.
how we, sometimes go into these unnecessary physical fights. So it
Mhm.
can change that trajectory that young people are sometimes on.
Yeah, and it can become an enjoyable thing. It
Right,
can
right,
become something
right.
that you enjoy, the banter between two people on a particular topic. It can
Yes,
energize you, right? It can
yes.
lift your spirit, because you're having this wonderful conversation where you completely disagree with the person, but you keep bringing up your points and they keep bringing up their points. And I want to venture to say that there was a time in Dominica where that was the order of the day. There was
Mm-hmm,
no television, there was no internet and cell phones. And what people enjoyed was a good conversation, a good intellectual discuss on
mm-hmm,
various topics of the day. And that was their entertainment.
mm-hmm,
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
yeah,
Definitely.
yeah,
Yeah. So
absolutely. So let us look at some of the items that you're looking to
that I
cover.
need. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So far, I have received some good feedback and sponsorship from some private companies. AC Shillingford has
Mhm.
come on board, and New India Assurance, to sponsor the grand prize for the students,
Mhm.
which is a trip to St. Lucia, with hotel, with accommodation included. And this is a big incentive because you want the students to take part for all the good reasons that we mentioned, but they also want to feel rewarded. So we have this grand prize sponsored, and that's very good. We also have people coming on board, promising to sponsor the trophies, as well. And what I am missing though is in terms of some of the sponsorship for consolation prizes for the students. So as I said, the grand prize has been sponsored. That trip has been sponsored, but you don't want students who have taken part and maybe have gotten all the way to round three, to
Mm,
walk away without a nice prize as well. So I do require, in terms of my budget, the consolation prizes. I haven't gotten support for that. And there is another aspect of this thing that I am particularly passionate about as someone who has coached students for years. I know sometimes the energy that it takes from the coach, particularly us educators working for very small salaries and oftentimes not much gratitude
mhm,
shown, that it is a good idea to also say thank you to the coaches. So one aspect that I put in my budget, and that is big on my wish list, is that at the end of this, from the 13 schools that are participating, that each coach can get a token of appreciation. And I have budgeted it as a simple $100 voucher per coach, which is not much, but I think it will really do well to boost their interest and willingness, if at the end of it we get to say thank you, coach,
mhm,
for helping. So the students, the consolation prizes for the students, the tokens for the coaches at the end, and some tokens, of course, for the all the officials who have volunteered their time to make this thing work. So, at the end of a competition, you know how you go to do voluntary service, but you always get a little fruit basket, or you get a little token. I really want to be able to do that for the judges as well. So that aspect I need taken care of. And I also, the transportation is also a big deal. So
mhm,
as I mentioned earlier, this first round of debate, all the debates will be in Roseau. So UE and PSU are the two venues for the debates. And regardless of if we're in Roseau or if we had to go to the country, people would need to be transported from one school to another. So we do require transportation for the schools who will be coming to Roseau to compete, to bring, so one bus per school, to bring their students to the competition. So that is something I'm also looking to fund. The Ministry of Education has agreed to partner with me and with this endeavor. In what way exactly, we're not sure yet, but they have agreed, the PS has agreed, and so there is this promise. So hopefully maybe transportation can be one way that they can, but as of now, that has not been confirmed. So I'm still looking, to see if I can get that aspect covered as well. Yeah, and that's about it. I am very pleased that the grand prize, as I said, is sponsored, and the
mhm,
trophies. A lot of people are coming forward for sponsoring the trophies for the
mhm.
students.
And I also know that you have different sponsorship levels. You can tell us quickly
Yes.
about that?
Yeah. So initially, when I started to brainstorm about this, I was like, okay, if one company would just come forward and cover 75% or more of this thing, then they
Mhm,
would get to name the competition after their company. It happens in Grenada, by the way. The Grenada Electricity Company, Greenlec, they sponsored the debate competition in Grenada. So the competition is called Greenlec Debating Competition. So they take care of everything, and I find I this is so amazing. But so I wanted one company, or I was hoping if one company could have taken the majority of the budget, then that competition would have been named after them and they would be the platinum sponsor. That has not happened. So we're moving to the 50% sponsorship level or gold sponsorship. That
mhm,
has not happened as well. What we have is with the New India Assurance and AC Shillingford, who are partner companies. They have sponsored, as I said, the grand prize and the printing course for the competition, like all the printing. So I consider them a silver sponsor because they've sponsored a third of the budget. So I am kind of, yes, I did have sponsorship levels on that proposal, but the way it's going, I feel it will be more of a many hands coming together to make this happen than one big sponsor,
Yeah,
making it
yeah,
happen.
and it's a community venture, so we can all
Yes,
be a part of it. And considering the reach of Q95, we know that there are many people who are listening to us right now who own
yeah.
businesses. And to
Hmm.
have your name attached to this event, which is going to be for months. This is not just a
Yes.
January event. This is an event that is going to run all the way in
Performance.
through
Hmm.
April, with
Hmm.
social media exposure, Vivian exposure. So
Hmm.
great exposure for your company. So
Hmm.
again, Trudy's email address, trudy.christian@gmail.com. So we would encourage you to reach out to her as a potential sponsor. But Trudy, for those of us in the diaspora, those of us overseas or even in Dominica, do you have Cash App? Do you have NBD More Banking if we wanted to make a donation to this important program?
So I don't. That's an interesting question. I don't have Cash App. I do have my personal mobile banking, which I maybe would not accept donations for there. But I think what I maybe need to do is establish I do have Venmo. Is
Venmo,
it
Venmo.
right? I do have Venmo. So maybe I need to look into that being a way that people from overseas can
Hmm.
contribute towards this. I had
Hmm.
not really thought of that. I was thinking if people, overseas, or if a group of Dominicans got together and maybe did some prizes and sent the prizes to Dominica, that could be
Hmm.
a way of contributing. I don't know how that would work, but I
Right.
didn't really think of the financial contribution aspect of it.
Hmm.
In the past, I have used for a debate. I remember after the hurricane, I used GoFundMe, and that worked. But I did not want to do that this time. So I would say that reach out to me if you're interested, and let's see if, even if not in cash, but you could sponsor something in kind.
Right.
You could send down some prizes, you could send down some gift vouchers for the debate coaches, however
Hmm.
you can assist in that way. I would be very grateful.
Yeah, absolutely. So, did we miss anything, Trudy? Because we're quickly coming to a close. The time goes by too quickly when we're doing these
Yes.
programs. Did we miss anything that you would like to expound on?
I mean, in general, I just want to maybe reiterate the importance of this venture. I think it's really a way that we can help young people to develop further, to give them that avenue to express their views, to speak publicly. These are the people who will be our future leaders. These are the people who will be, taking control of this country and its affairs in times to come. So we really need to prioritize giving them, the correct avenues to develop and to hone their skills, hone their passions, and also avenues to network and be able to kind of constructively engage with each other. So I don't want us to be the society that just criticizes young people, or when they make mistakes, we laugh and, oh, this person cannot speak well, they can't pronounce this word well, listen to their pronunciation, and we're laughing and we're sharing memes. But when it comes to giving them an avenue to develop, then we shy away. So I really want to just encourage people to support this venture, if not the intersecondary schools debating competition and some other venture associated with youth, you want to support, go ahead and do that. But really, really try to make it a focus to help youth develop, help them to be able to contribute well to society in the future. And also, I just want to say that with this whole competition, it's going to revive a lot of the old feelings of high school allegiance that some of
Mhm.
us may have. I know particularly for the convent girls versus the grammar school boys and SMA boys, there was a
Yep.
lot of that back in the day. So it's going to revive some of that. So I also want to, encourage people to engage, with your alma mater and, take some time to kind of give back as well to your alma mater. And you can do that through simple mentorship, for reaching out and just trying to assist your school. Let's see which school in April will be the winners of this reintroduced debating competition.
Yeah, yeah, Trudy, and I think we can all agree that that is something that is lacking in Dominica, that school rivalry spirit. We had
I
that
think
existed, especially surrounding sports. I mean, when convent girls decided taking on DGS grammar school, in netball,
yeah,
I used to be a netballer, so
yeah.
that
I
was
think
serious battle.
I think it still exists in sports, but sports to some extent, but it's in sports, yes. I know the schools from the north, I know they come hard for the Rosa
Mhm,
schools, you
mhm.
know, in sports and other competitions. But what I think has been lacking is this aspect for rivalry on an academic
Yes.
or that type of level. So yes, we maybe still have some sports rivalry, but an academically oriented endeavor like a debate, or even before we used to have elocution contests, and we used to have so any kind of academic thing. We have kind of lost that rivalry, but we want to get that back. It's not just about CSEC results, and that could be a whole other topic. It's not just about preparing the students for exams, and then at the end of the 5 years, you say, okay, we got 10 students with 10 ones and 12 ones and 13 ones. It's about developing a holistic individual and having these sorts of things that can contribute to the entire development of the young person. So I think it's a good time you to kind of lend some support to your alma mater, and see how we can make this thing fun, yes, but still very beneficial and very worthwhile for the young people.
Yeah, and you're so correct, because we have had those conversations on this program where we talk about education is not simply receiving all those ones and all the results from the exams. It is really about creating that holistic person so that you're able to have conversations that are inspiring, that are persuasive, that are convincing, because that
Mhm.
is what an educated person is supposed to be able to do. So, Trudy, I want to thank you again for reaching out and reintroducing this
Mhm.
program to Dominica. I think we have all seen the potential that this has, not only to impact the children, the young people, I don't want to call them children, the young people who will participate, but the wider society as well. And Chris says, Miss Christian is basically saying we should all be part of a path in giving back, of a mindset of confidence within a democracy. However, I'd wish that we build a team in success in having the current administration opposing parties to allow our graduates and students to discuss their future. And I think, Chris's comment brings together an important point, because yes, we may not have the political parties at the top who want to debate, but how about having a debate competition between the youth arms of the political parties? Why not inspire them to have a debate amongst themselves so you can present your opposing views? And that way, when elections are over, we're all cordial. And there's
Right,
not
right.
this divide, this huge divide that exists in Dominica based on colors. So, Chris, thank you for that point. He says the theory is great, but the practical behavior starts now. I'm willing to contribute and find resources. Chris, you want to give us a contact information where we can reach you? Because I think Chris is ready to get on board with this. He says, I personally will fund The next program with Miss Christian, Doc Simone, and Mr. G topic gives me chills. Yes, yes, yes. So we have a commitment. So that is two that we were able to secure just being here. Not nice, is it? A good evening to you all. Let's see who else we have. Tess Freeman, CHS to the world. Yes, so lots of great comments. So again, if you joined us late, we were talking to Miss Trudy Christian about the inter-secondary schools debate competition and how we can all support the need to improve critical and independent thinking skills, especially among our young people in Dominica. So thank you for joining us. It is crazy, but the time is up, Trudy.
Yes, yes,
I
yes.
want to thank you for being here with us and for reaching out and for pretty much embodying what I always talk about, the need for Dominicans at home and abroad to come together to work to move Dominica forward in important areas. So thank you for being a part of this conversation. And speaking of Dominicans overseas and at home coming together, we have a very exciting announcement. Speaking of Dr. Randy Glean, he has committed to providing a scholarship based
Wow.
on our program. He's been very impressed with the work that we're doing on Roots Connections. And I think he's also impressed with the caliber of people who went through MSU that he was able to recruit and to look
Mhm.
at the work that they're doing. So he has committed to one, potentially two scholarships at Western Illinois University. And we will have him on early in January to talk about more about this program. So this is very exciting. I always say, we have such great, important conversations all the time on social media, on the radio, but it is time to move beyond conversing. It is time to take the next step and get our hands dirty and get the work done and have like-minded people like Miss Trudy Christian and everybody else who has been willing to be part of the movement to do something so that our folks in Dominica can have financial opportunities and be able to think independently and make decisions independently because their financial situation is secure. So again, thank you everyone, all our listeners at home and abroad, wherever you tuned in from. Thank you for being with us this evening. Thank you to our Facebook and YouTube live audience. Thank you for your great comments that you offered, Mr. G, the Q95 family, Lamby. Thank you for taking the calls. DJ Shan, thank you for being on standby as always. So as the world continues to evolve and rapidly change, we will continue to explore the changes right here on Roots Connections. We will continue to talk about the challenges, the opportunities, and the impact of those changes on us. And again, we will be back on December 28th for another program. Don't forget to check out q95da.com for the best in programming, as well as any episodes of programs you may have missed along the way. And again, another example of where we see Dominicans at home and abroad. This gets me so excited. I don't know why. Working together, you can check out pushpast10.com. PUSHPASC10. We recently had a very interesting interview of a new company that launched in Dominica with Dominicans in Canada and Dominicans in Dominica, creating financial opportunities for our people on the ground. So again, pushpast10.com, you can check it out. And thank you to everyone who continues to reach out to me to say, hey, I have an idea, I have a project, I have a thought, I have an inspiration of something we can do to create financial opportunities for our people in Dominica. So again, thank you for being here for another episode of Roots Connections on Q. I have been your host, Simone Mathieu, and I look forward to our next episode together. And Trudy, Chris just posted his email address. So when you get a chance, you can take it down. So Trudy, the final word is yours.
Simone, I just want to thank you so much for having me on, and of course, thank you to Q95 for giving us this time. Thank you to the listeners and for all the all the comments and all the feedback, and I'm sure for all the support that's going to come through just from us being on this platform. So thank you for the opportunity, and I just want to sign off with a nice positive note that I believe that this thing is going to go off very well, and I can already feel that it will be very well supported. So thank you, and continue doing what you're doing.
Yes, yes, yes. And keep me in the loop. Keep me in the loop. Let me know if there's any other way that we can help you with this program. Harrison Phillip, great to see you. Thank you for being here. So with that, we say good evening, good night. Have a pleasant Christmas holiday. I hope you have plans to spend some time with your family and just to relax and to remember the reason for the season. So with that, we say good night. Thank you, Lambi. Thank you, Trudy. And have yourself a wonderful evening. Take care.
Good night.
Thank you.
Joe Rastafari. Home, oh, oh, children, home. Wanna go home, oh, yes, children, home. Got to go, yeah. We've been trodden from tendencies right on through revelation. We've been